It's Wednesday, May 6th. In the headlines, Energy Minister Daryl Vaz announces new JPS license talks, but warns of alternative provider if negotiations fail. In business news, Negril and Miami conferences to place spotlight on Jamaica's real estate. Regionally, in Barbados, Caribbean leaders push practical housing solutions. And in sports, Andre Russell and Rothman Powell lead Kingsmen picks for CPL debut season. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Energy Minister Daryl Vaz has announced cabinet approval of a heads of terms agreement to guide negotiations for a new license with the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, marking a major step toward reforming the country's electricity sector. Speaking in Parliament during his sectoral debate presentation, Minister Vaz said the agreement outlines the framework for discussions, which will be subject to a non-disclosure agreement. We have more in this report from Danina Rodney.
He added that a review of the Electricity Act and the broader regulatory system will support the new licensing regime,
which is to be negotiated with JPS subject to the execution of a non-disclosure agreement between the company and GOJ. At the same time, a review of the Electricity Act and the regulatory framework is to be done to give effect to the new license regime.
Vaz warned that if negotiations fail, the government will seek an alternative provider on the international market.
The electricity license negotiation team awaits the signing of the NDA to proceed with the negotiations. At the same time, the process is underway to engage international legal counsel to support the process as the ministry strives to achieve the most efficient and effective process. A white paper for electricity sector reform has been drafted and is now subject to review. Naturally, the white paper will be brought to Parliament as soon as Cabinet approval is obtained.
The minister further revealed that power wheeling regulations have been finalized and gazetted, with tariff and billing discussions now in their final stages. Once implemented, the system will allow multiple users to generate and trade electricity across the national grid.
The Institutional Review Committee appointed by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has outlined 5 key recommendations to improve operations at the University Hospital of the West Indies. This follows concerning financial findings in a recent Auditor General's report. Speaking at a ministry press conference on Tuesday, Committee Chairman Howard Mitchell said the proposals include legislative changes, stronger board oversight, and improved strategic management.
The hospital needs corporate secretary urgent. It needs to address and conform to the procurement rules. The authority of the hospital over the clinical personnel of the university of the West Indies that are assigned to the hospital to train the young doctors, the hospital must have at least contractual authority and HR authority to ensure that these people are performing their jobs.
Among the recommendations is an amendment to the UHWI Act to address board size, clarify ex officio membership, and align language with the Customs Act.
One is that the act that exists and governs the hospital is not fit for purpose. That, as I have said, there are issues with the board size, the composition and alignment of the board, definitions of the appointments under the board, and the confusion as to the rules of the stakeholders and the management, and in particular the tax exemption clause in terms of the Customs Act.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton emphasized that lasting improvements will require a cultural shift within the institution, with both board members and staff embracing stronger governance and accountability practices. Electricity has been restored to 99.81% of customers served by the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. That update from Energy Minister Darrell Vaz. He told Parliament on Tuesday that as of May 5, 1,343 customers remained without power, including 1,283 in Westmoreland and 60 in St. Elizabeth.
Of the remaining customers to be restored, approximately 40%, 538, are not ready to receive power safely due to property-related damage, leaving approximately 805 customers who can receive electricity service still to be restored.
Minister Vaz also pointed to progress in renewable energy.
Recognizing its low capability, the ministry sought and engaged international expertise through the Inter-American Development Bank. In March 25, we engaged the services of Francis Maud Associates to assist with a rigorous analysis and review of the electricity sector.
Originally set at 220 megawatts of renewable capacity with 110 megawatts of battery storage, the project has been expanded to 300 megawatts of renewable energy and 150 megawatts of storage, with bids expected in August 2026. A teacher's ability to nurture critical thinking, discipline, empathy, and creativity directly affects how individuals contribute to their communities later in life. This is especially true for those who teach students with mental and physical disabilities. We sat down with two of those special individuals, teachers, at Best Care Opportunity.
The biggest part of it came at high school when I was doing a particular subject and the teacher was just never present for CXC. And so I basically taught my classmates and I the subject, and we all passed. And from there I said maybe this is something that I could do.
The Myconian graduate entered professional new challenges in the classroom.
So we have our first cohort who will be sitting City and Guilds this year. And guess who has the responsibility to get them ready?
She's compassionate, she's thoughtful, and of course she has the children's interests at heart.
Odain Stevens is the music teacher at Best Care. A musician by trade, he's yet to regret the transition from stage to the classroom. He says fellow musicians often question the move.
They ask me if I'm mad. They must say, how you leave from stage to special ed children? They ask me if me is special too.
What do you say?
I say, yeah. So I can, relate to the students as well. From the first day I step in the Best Care, I just knew, so this is it.
He enjoys how receptive students are to music.
Seeing that music can, despite of their disabilities or whatever, music can reach them. They can understand what is being taught to them. Some of them are playing instruments as well. Some of them are singing, some of them are harmonizing, which we would expect, but yeah.
Mr. Stevens doesn't have a favorite student, but
I think it's more of a group, because the choir went to JCDC and we did well. So that experience, unforgettable.
He's not just a music teacher. He puts his heart in his music and what he's doing. He's very empathic. He's very sympathetic with the children, and he made the children have a sense of confidence. And he's the reason why children find their confidence in doing music.
teachers play a decisive role in shaping the kind of citizens a society produces. Simone Absalom Gale reporting for the news on PBCJ. Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. 2 upcoming conferences will showcase the real estate investment opportunities in Jamaica. This month, the 5th staging of the THROP-X Investment Conference returns to Negril with focus on real estate, resilience, and West Jamaica's growth potential. The week-long conference, scheduled for May 24 to 30 at Travelers Beach Resort, will bring together local and international investors, members of the diaspora, developers, and policymakers for a practical, on-the-ground look at what it takes to invest, build, and operate in Jamaica today. Then in June, Black Ink Marketing launches its Investment and Housing Conference 2026. The inaugural conference will take place in South Florida on Friday, June 5th, 2026 at Doubletree by Hilton Sawgrass under the theme Invest Your Piece of the Rock, and is designed to connect diaspora capital to Jamaican opportunity. The core team behind this conference is Gabrielle Gilping-Hudspun, attorney at law, partner at Grant, Henry & Rooms, and president, Realtors Association of Jamaica, and Dr. Leighton A. Ellis, president-elect, Jamaica Institute of Engineers. The proposed National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, dubbed NARA, designed as a powerful super ministry to fast-track rebuilding after Hurricane Melissa, is already steering unease, even as it promises speed and efficiency across 7 devastated parishes. Garnet Reed, president of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, has thrown his support behind urgent reconstruction, but warns that without clear rules, small businesses risk being sidelined in the very recovery they are expected to sustain. Reed is pressing for immediate clarity, defined procurement pathways, accessible financing, and deliberate inclusion of SMEs from day one. Reed states that stakes are high. Small businesses form the backbone of employment and community stability, and excluding them could turn a rapid rebuild into an uneven recovery, strong in infrastructure but weak in livelihoods. For the trading period of May 5th, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Jamaican Teas Limited with 1,561,285 units, representing 9.28% of market sales activities. Trans Jamaica Highway Limited with 1,494,596 units, representing 8.88% of market sales activities. Supreme Ventures Limited with 1,452,156 units, representing 8.63% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in gaming and entertainment, transportation and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for May 5th, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $156.58 and buying for $158.41. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $6.22 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $117.86 and was bought for $111.64. The British pound had continued volatility, offered short-term trading opportunities of 77 cents in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $214.30 and was bought for $213.53. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, your credit report can teach your university-bound child about building a life ready for financial growth. Credit, feels abstract until you attach it to real experiences. Sitting down with your child and walking through your own credit report builds clarity fast. Show them the different types of accounts and why you use them. How consistent payments strengthen credibility over time. Where high balances or missed payments created setbacks for you. And how long it actually takes to rebuild trust with lenders. This isn't about presenting a flawless record. It's about showing your child how financial behavior compounds, whether positively or negatively. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, regional leaders are focusing on practical housing solutions as officials gather in Barbados for a sub-regional workshop on housing and urban development. Participants say the region must now move beyond planning and policy discussions to delivering real results, with greater attention being placed on infrastructure, climate resilience, and improving access to affordable mortgages to strengthen communities across the Caribbean. More details from CBC News.
Barbados is once again at the center of regional climate leadership, hosting a high-level workshop under the Santiago Network aimed at strengthening support for vulnerable countries. Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, in addressing the opening session, made it clear that the stakes are rising. She says for the Caribbean, climate change is not theoretical, since it is already impacting lives and economies.
The world is not on track to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Instead, we are heading closer to a 3-degree increase, an outcome with potentially devastating consequences, particularly for vulnerable regions such as ours. For the Caribbean, this is not an abstract threat. It is a lived reality. And as our Prime Minister Motley has said repeatedly, we will not be passive in the face of climate change. We will not wait for others to act. We will lead, we will innovate, and we will protect our people. Even if early projections suggest a below-average 2026 Atlantic hurricane season, we know better than to be complacent. Forecasts can change, and even a single event can have significant consequences.
She outlined ambitious national targets, including hurricane-resilient infrastructure and the transition to 100% renewable energy, along with having the largest electrical bus fleet in the Caribbean.
These include ensuring that 85% of our housing stock and critical infrastructure can withstand a Category 3 hurricane by 2030, enabling citizens to return to basic living standards within 3 to 7 days following an extreme weather event, and achieving 100% renewable energy generation supported by a resilient grid by 2035.
Vice President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Isaac Solomon, says the region must rethink how it approaches disasters. He stressed that preparation, not just response, is key. He says the cost and damage associated with these events cannot be underscored.
For Caribbean SIDS and LDCs globally, loss and damage is not a future risk. It is a present and escalating reality. Extreme weather events, sea level rise, flooding, droughts, and heat stress impose recurrent human, social, and economic costs that strain public finances, erode development gains, and undermine long-term ecosystems, livelihoods, and cultural heritage.
The workshop is expected to strengthen technical support, improve coordination, and help countries better access climate financing. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
Still in Barbados, the country is reinforcing its role in regional climate leadership as it hosts a high-level Santiago Network workshop aimed at boosting support for vulnerable countries. Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw says climate change is already impacting Caribbean lives and economies, while regional leaders continue to push for stronger disaster preparedness and greater access to climate financing. CBC News' Deanza Roberts has the story.
Regional housing and urban development officials are in Barbados for a sub-regional workshop aimed at improving how Caribbean countries deliver housing solutions. Minister of Housing, Lands and Maintenance, Christopher Gibbs, says the focus must now shift from planning to execution. The minister made it clear that housing must go beyond construction and instead address the everyday realities people face.
Across the Caribbean, we have made strong climate commitments through our nationally determined contributions. Our countries have set out ambitious goals to reduce emissions, build resilience, and protect our people and economies from impacts of climate change. But commitments alone will not protect a roof. Commitments alone will not drain a flooded road. I could go on about this too. A lot of what we saw in Jamaica was the after effects of the hurricane, was the poor drainage. So when they talk about holistic solutions, you have to look at the infrastructure as well.
He highlighted a major issue in Barbados, access to financing, explaining that many individuals are unable to secure enough funding to purchase homes, even when they qualify for mortgages. Minister Gibbs says government is now exploring ways to bridge that gap, including possible interventions to make mortgages more accessible.
If you cannot get people to have access to decent mortgages, then who are you going to put in there? So we also have to look at de-risking mortgages in Barbados, and the Ministry of Housing, along with the Ministry of Finance, we have embarked on ways in which we can get people over the hump. Say an individual qualifies for $140,000 in a mortgage, but the purchase price is $200,000. So they're short by $60,000. How do we craft innovative financial solutions to be able to get those people over the hump?
United Nations Resident Coordinator Simon Springett warned that global support for climate action is becoming more uncertain, but he says the Caribbean continues to lead with solutions.
The Caribbean is not a place that waits to be saved. The Caribbean is a place that produces solution, it exports ideas, and it speaks time and time again with the clarity and moral force that punches profoundly above its weight in global conversations. So the work we begin today, or hopefully the work we continue today, on housing, on cities, on resilience, really places where our communities live.
The workshop also allows regional partners to share experiences, particularly around managing dense communities and improving living conditions. The workshop continues tomorrow at the UN House in Marine Gardens, Christchurch. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
French Guiana has officially joined the Caribbean Telecommunications Union as an associate member, marking a significant step toward deeper regional collaboration in the digital space. The move, approved by CTU ministers, is expected to strengthen partnerships in areas including technology development, cybersecurity, and digital governance across the Caribbean.
French Guiana officially signed on to join the Caribbean Telecommunications Union as an associate member on Tuesday. This follows a decision in October in which CTU ministers approved the membership in Kingston, Jamaica. Minister of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence and CTU President Dominic Smith welcomed the move, describing French Guiana as a strong and strategic addition to the Union's 21 member states.
French Guiana brings to this partnership significant strategic value. As a European connected territory, it offers access to advanced digital frameworks, cybersecurity capabilities, satellite data, and growing digital infrastructure. The CTU, in turn, brings regional coordination, policy experience, and a network of governments committed to collective progress.
French Guiana's President Gabriel Surville reaffirmed his country's commitment to advancing technology in the region. Speaking through a translator, he highlighted the nation's contributions.
First of all, our space center that is located in Kourou. This spatial base can give access to data and knowledge. In addition, we have a project called Observatory SEAS, SEAS, and this tool is used to observe the Earth. And we currently have partnerships with Africa, Brazil, Suriname, and in the future, perhaps with Guyana.
On his first visit to Trinidad and Tobago, President Seville noted his admiration for youth involvement in politics.
I was very impressed by the presence of youth in government. That stands out to me. Yesterday, I was speaking to one of the ministers, and he looked so young. I felt like I was talking to one of my students because I used to be a math teacher. And that is something that inspires me, the way that Trinidad highlights youth in politics. And I think this is something we can copy in French Guiana.
French Guiana's membership is expected to strengthen regional collaboration in areas such as cybersecurity, digital governance, and emerging technologies. Faith Chariot, TTT News.
In sports, we look to cricket. Jamaican cricket stars Andre Russell and Rovman Powell have been selected to represent the Jamaica Kingsmen in this summer's Caribbean Premier League. Although an official announcement is expected next Friday, it is understood that both players were the first two draft picks by new franchise owners Kingsmen Sports Enterprise. Special draft rules allowed the Kingsmen to select their first three players from Jamaican talent without right to match restrictions. Jamaican all-rounder Fabian Allen is expected to be the third pick. The Kingsmen's 17-member squad is expected to include 9 senior West Indies players, 5 overseas players, and 3 emerging talents from the West Indies Breakout League. The team will open their CPL campaign on August 7 against Antigua and Barbuda Falcons in St. Vincent before hosting 4 matches at Sabina Park between August 11 and August 18. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.